Hi, I'm Judy Holden. I'm from Easton Manor.
I'm Jessica Greer with Wellhaven.
I'm Mike Turk from Chartier Center.
April Bush from Pyramid Healthcare.
Kylene Salami, Horizon House.
Brad Cherry, Edison Court.
So the project that we picked was something that I think both Brad and I related to, but was something that as we were talking was maybe from some of the resources that we learned this week that I could take back and use at our agency in working with some of our kind of mini managers or our direct supervisors who work with some of the direct line staff. So thinking of two of the teams that I work with is one, some of the clinical staff who work with direct care staff, which would be 11 supervisors who then in turn supervise another about 40 staff. And then also some of the directors who go into other community-based programs is looking about at 80 staff. So overall kind of has an impact on about 200 staff altogether. So kind of having a ripple effect of supervisors to supervisees, of improving their supervision skills, of some of the things that we've talked about this week about communication, feedback, personality styles, handling conflict, and how we could improve those skills in a setting that we already needed. So looking at our project that we already have a once a month meeting, that we have team meetings, that carving out some of that time where we already meet. So it's not taking away from productivity, it's not calling another meeting, not taking away from billable time and asking them to schedule something out in their schedule. And it's also not incurring another type of cost, but taking 15 minutes from that meeting and choosing one skill, just one skill during that 15 minutes to focus on developing, talking about it, figuring how we can apply that to the teams that they already work on, and ways that they could demonstrate that. And some of the ways that we could do that is bringing in an article, something maybe pulled from a book, something that would just be short in a piece that we could talk about, having discussion around it, having role plays, and then afterwards, something that's kind of helpful is that the one team meeting actually occurs the first Monday of the month, so that's always at the beginning of the month, is that could kind of be the skill of the month, is then following up that with that information throughout the month of links of emails with information, additional information about, so say we're talking about conflict resolution, if here's some additional information about the resource that we were talking about, here's some other ways that maybe you can apply this in working with your staff, here's something that maybe you could use in your next supervision group that you could bring in and use that might be helpful, and kind of just also little bits of reminders of saying, hey, how's that going? Any feedback that you guys want to share with the rest of the group of how that's all working.
So before we get to the monitor progress part, how many of us manage millennials in this room? 1980 to 2000, a lot. So a lot of the people we manage at this level, even the supervisor of the frontline staff, are older millennials, maybe like 1980 to 1990 kind of age, 1985. And so we found that they tend not to be slogan people. They tend to be short, effective intervention people. They want to get the information and know how they can achieve that, what they've learned, and put that in practice. So that's what we kind of talk about, the 15-minute intervals and things, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So we wanted to just be real with them, transparent. This is what we're going to do. These are what our goals are. Your search as I can talk about that. So we're going to need to monitor the progress with that whole intervention. So it's going to be on the monthly agenda. We attach it to what's already occurring, so we're not adding anything else to them. We're subtracting a little bit from the meeting and giving more meaning in that monthly agenda for each one of those meetings. The periodic on-site observation. So this is something that once this gets rolling, we're able to go out and see what they're doing in the field. Yeah, are these interventions that we're doing, kind of these YouTube segments, we'll talk about YouTube generation, are they taking place in the field? And then, of course, written feedback. More traditional people in the room feel good about that, and it also gives us really good data as well. So we try to get that from them as well. And then the yearly professional evaluations, really kind of digging down into what their skills are for these type of people who tend to be the millennial generation, and attaching that to what is important to them and what they thrive off of, like back to that achievement idea. So the timelines, we have pre-assessment, so this is prior to the start of the training. We're going to get an idea of what they need, what we can offer, and what's important for them. Preparing the staff for change. So we all know people don't like change popped up on them. So certainly there'll be a month prep, I believe we talked about, where initially we tell them what's going to happen, what it's going to potentially look like, and when it is going to happen, so they can feel more comfortable before the implementation stage. So we actually made real numbers here. As we all know, today's March 1st. So April 1st will be the start of the training process. So any meeting that falls after that will have that 15-minute intervention training. The second group, this is referring to what Jessica talked about, the 11 managers and then the 6 managers, then transfers down to the 200 total employees. So it'll be 2 separate groups, so the 1st and 11th of April. And then throughout the month, maintain communication through emails, links, etc., pertaining to the new skill. One of the cool things, particularly with maybe this generation we're talking about, is a lot of us have shared folders, maybe on servers. We can start dropping information, whether it's articles, whether it's the skill itself, or maybe it's a YouTube video, whatever kind of is important there. We're going to gather the feedback from the supervisors and supervisees at 6 months. So we have 2 people we're worried about here, the supervisor and the supervisees. It's going to be important to kind of decide who's getting anything out of it, and if our supervisors are really struggling with it, it's adding to their workload, we need to kind of get that clean information. And then the responsibilities, does this mean something? I think so. Oh yes, yeah. So we got to manage up a little bit too, right? We got to gain buy-in from above us. And not only do we got to gain buy-in from above us, we got to gain support in order to do this. Because we're changing kind of how we're doing our staff meetings. So we want to change behavior a little bit as well. So when you go to the top, potentially, we have LOC, level of care, so the vice president and the CEO. The program directors will be responsible for implementing this project, but they'll need the support from above. And then following 6 months, the progress will be submitted to the supervisors and the VP or CEO to kind of see where things are.
Okay, as far as communication strategies, we're going to maintain meeting notes. Those are going to be accessible in the shared folder that everybody has access to. So if, we'll hand those out at the meetings, but if they would happen to lose that, they can go back and retrieve those. So it's kind of like a running archive of what was trained, what was discussed, who was in attendance, etc. We're also going to place all our surveys and feedback in that shared folder, and that's also where we'll present like data to everybody. So we're trying to be as transparent as possible for everybody involved in this whole initiative. We'll utilize existing technology, emails, links, etc. Throughout the month during the training period. So we'll be in constant contact with everybody involved. The budget is free, except for allocated time. The program director is going to have to donate some of her time to this, and we're also going to get an intern to help us do the data mining and gathering data and analyzing it. So in regard to like the surveys and stuff like that, we were thinking just to use like some type of Likert scale, 0 to 5, to rate the supervisors' competence in using the skills, their confidence in managing their employees, whether they think that it has a direct impact on their supervisees, etc. So we're going to take all that into account when we're looking at evaluating the project, and we're hoping to see like a positive shift in all of those areas. And this will also like be used for individual development goals on the annual evaluation. So it'll actually inform that, and then that would be also taken into account when we evaluate the project. And we're hoping that the overall overriding purpose of all this will be to retain quality staff